Over the weekend, Donald Trump escalated his threats against Iran, sort of tiptoeing into the realm of just threatening war crimes. So let's show you what happened. He started off saying Iran is talking very boldly about targeting certain USA assets as revenge for our ridding the world of their terrorist leader who had just killed an American and badly wounded many others, not to mention all of the people he'd killed over his lifetime, including recently hundreds of Iranian protesters. He was already, get all of your news from Donald Trump. It's the best source for all this stuff. He was already attacking our embassy and preparing for additional hits in other locations. They have continually implied that and provide no evidence to support it. Iran has been nothing but problems for many years. Let this serve as a warning that if Iran strikes any Americans or American assets, we have targeted 52 Iranian sites representing the 52 American hostages taken by Iran many years ago, some at a very high level and important to Iran and the Iranian culture. And those targets and Iran itself will be hit very fast and very hard. The USA wants no more threats, but it certainly has more threats. So there's a lot going on in those tweets. That was the president, and this is how he communicates both to foreign powers, but also to our government. And yeah, he's threatening to attack a symbolic number, which let's keep it real. If I told you someone has made a threat against a certain number of targets and it's meant to represent something else from history, who makes those sorts of threats?
Right.
Terrorists, that's it.
I know exactly where you're going with that.
That's the bizarre way that people talk about conflict when they're terrorists, that's all.
Also, I think a lot of people took issue with two things, two aspects of it, specifically like that last tweet, like threatening to target culture sites and also what that could mean to civilians. And then also assigning the deaths, the potential deaths of civilians to people who some would consider heroes. These 52 hostages, like do they want that? Would they want that? Would they have wanted that, like in their name, in their honor?
Well, I'm sure he consulted with them.
Of civilians, and I think that that didn't go over as well as I assume he thought this would have.
Well, I'm just gonna take issue with one thing you said, because you made reference to him talking about cultural sites, and Mike Pompeo, he doesn't understand what you're saying there.
Okay.
President Trump didn't say he'd go after a cultural side. Read what he said.
Okay, he wanted us to read. So just to be clear, why don't we read it?
So wait, did they read it to him?
I don't know if they did. So let's see. Some at a very high level and important to Iran and the Iranian culture.
Right.
52 sites, some important to Iranian culture. He didn't talk about cultural sites, and then he doubled down after that.
Important to Iranian culture.
Yeah, no, he talked about bombing cultural sites. And Mike Pompeo is just such a liar and a fool that he would, like, what I'm sure that I know what was going through his mind at that moment. It was, Trump, come on, man, you're really getting us into it. Let me help you dig out of this. He's not talking about cultural sites. And then Trump doubled down on it later on that day. And so, look, threatening to attack an arbitrary number, and from sources inside the administration, they're saying there is no list of targets that are currently being considered that adds up to 52. He's just weirdly making up this terroristic threat. But then to say that you're gonna bomb culturally significant places, not places that are important with military or strategic value, he is just going to find the places that they value for their culture and bomb them. That, even most terrorists, that's not how they think. Like the Taliban did, they bombed those ancient statues. There are a few people sick enough, monstrous enough, that that's how they go about engaging in military action. And Trump has now added himself to that list. And this bizarre threat, which is not just bizarre, it's also illegal. You can't do that, obviously. We're gonna have the specifics for you a little bit later on. Like, have any of his followers said, that's really weird. That's not how, like we're supposed to be the beacon of light on the hill. We're just standing up for our values, threatening to bomb temples and things like that. Is that what you were thinking of when you were following Reagan in the 80s? Is that what? But they don't care. No, I have not seen any prominent Republicans say, no, that's a step too far, I'm not gonna fall in there.
I like that you pointed out that he doubled down on it in later tweets, and specifically the tweet where he very clearly says that this tweet is to serve as a notice, an official notice to Congress. And that's where we are, because I guess thanks for writing it out. That's where we are.
There that's not how notice to Congress works.
No other possible way to get your message out. That's where we are.
Chuck Schumer, I DM'd you. Stop lying. Like that's our government now.
Yeah.
And so thankfully, some people are speaking out against this. Not Republicans, unfortunately, for the most part. But AOC tweeted, "This is a war crime, threatening to target and kill innocent families, women and children, which is what you're doing by targeting cultural sites. Does not make you a tough guy. It does not make you strategic. It makes you a monster." And she's 100% right. He is threatening to kill almost exclusively civilians in those threats. And apparently, multiple officials inside of the US government are not on board with this. They're not on board enough to actually identify themselves. But Jim Sciutto on CNN said, one of the officials told CNN, "Nothing rallies people like the deliberate destruction of beloved cultural sites, whether ISIS's destruction of religious monuments or the burning of the Louvre Library in World War I. History shows targeting locations giving civilization meaning is not only immoral, but self-defeating. The Persian people hold a deeply influential and beautiful history of poetry, logic, art, and science. Iran's leaders do not live up to that history, but America would be better served by leaders who embrace Persian culture, not threaten to destroy it." And the thing is, like, I'm sure that you saw over the weekend the funeral march for Soleimani, which was 1 billion people, it looked like. If you wanted to turn the Iranian people against us, if you wanted to stimulate support for military action against the US, if you wanted to stimulate support for terrorist actions against the US, you could not have done a better job than Donald Trump has done. So much so that I can't come up with a reasonable idea of why, but it seems like that is his goal. Like his goal is to inspire terrorist attacks against the US. Because occasionally under George W. Bush, they would do things like they would name campaigns in a way that seemed like this was an attack on Islam itself. He is making it explicitly an attack against Islam.
That's fun for him.
It appears to be,
That's not the first specific attack from him. He at one point banned them.
That's true.
People of the Islamic faith of entering our country.
Yeah.
So I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
That part of that. Which we like to call economic anxiety.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of that is why he's in office now. So
there's a lot of people who've been left behind in America that want some library in Iran to be blown up. That's how they will be caught up to the rest of America. By the way, to give you an idea of how this war is likely to go and the confidence that people in the administration have of what's going to happen, the chief of staff for the acting Secretary of Defense has stepped down. He's out within days of the launch of this attack. Remember, we don't even have a Secretary of Defense. But now the acting one, his chief of staff is like, peace, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.